Hey guys, how's it going? Ezekiel the Barber back with more barbering tutorials for you. Thank you for tuning in. Today's haircut, high bald fade with the number 10 guard on top. I've been cutting this young man for what seems like a long time, at least about 6 years, but he's still young, so it's hard to imagine. But really good young man here, growing up really fast. So it's time for his episode. Really appreciative of him and mom and dad allowing me to be able to demonstrate this haircut. So let's go ahead and get into it. The tools that I'll be using for today's haircut is a Wahl senior clipper and a comb. So I'll start with a closed lever since this is a bald fade. All right, and we have a number 16 guard, which we'll be using that for the top, which is basically equivalent to 2 inches in length. So that's what we'll be starting with on the top. All right, so I'll start by combing all the hair out. I have the lever closed. That's going to give me a really close cut, or as close as possible, depending on how zero gap the blades are. So as you can see here, it looks pretty bald, but it's almost like a stubbly bald. So normally I get things a lot balder than it is here, but in terms of taking a lot of the length off, a lot of that bulk hair off really fast, I like using this approach. So I'll use the clipper, close that lever up, set my first guideline. Since I know I'm gonna bald out anyways, I'll just take a lot of that bulk hair off with the regular clippers. And also, when you take a lot of hair off, it can definitely dull those blades really fast. So this is why I like to use this approach. Alright, so we'll basically continue setting this guideline all the way around. This is a high fade, though I did go a little bit lower because I can always take the fade up. I just can't bring that fade down. So I like to kind of cut conservative with my guidelines. I just like to make sure everything's nice and even. So you just see me cleaning the hair up from the neckline, making sure the guideline is even all the way around. Alright, cool. So eventually we'll go to some fast forwarded frames for the sake of time. There it is there. Basically, we just want to do on this side exactly what we did on the opposite side. Alright, pull that hair out the way. Okay, so for the next step, we want to get things a little bit balder. I chose to go to the outliner blade. So this is basically a 6-0, so it's going to get a lot of that stubble that you see out of there. So this is the second phase in the first guideline. So just attempting to get things a lot balder here. Now, though the clippers did get it pretty low, this 6-0 blade I did get sharpened, so I am using the Oster Octane clipper. So it's cordless, and I just slap that blade on there. Definitely one of my go-tos. So as you can see, things are getting a lot balder, getting really clean. So I'm just going over it really smooth, nice and easy. Don't really have to force anything. And then right here, just kind of want to get that a lot bolder. Out a little bit more here, continue balding all the way around. So it's very important to get clean guidelines, so that's why you see me going over things quite a bit until everything looks nice and smooth, everything looks even. Always want to pull that ear out of the way of the blade. Okay, so everything looks pretty good here. We're even doing one more step to ensure that things get a little balder. So I'm going to the Andis trimmers and I'm just going over things a little bit more. I like this clipper because it has the skeleton, which was basically just a cut off edge of the clippers. So it allows those clippers to kind of get into those hard to get spots, like such as behind the ear. So I'll just use the corner of the clipper just to get into those hard to get spots, just to make sure that everything's really clean there. Alright, so right around the sideburn area, I kind of like to go up and across. Those hairs kind of grow different. Then also, definitely always pull that ear out of harm's way whenever you're cutting in or around the ear. And that's where you see me cutting from a different angle. So I'll cut up as well as across. There it is. Alright, and as you can see, I've gone over this first guideline quite a few times. He's like, I know. Yeah, but I just want to make sure everything's really clean and comes out that much more perfect for my client. So we're going to start with an open lever for our next guideline. So we're just going to attempt to take some of that hair off. I'm only going to go about 1/4 of an inch up. So open that clipper lever up. Go up about 1/4 of an inch, and we'll do this all the way around. Now you always want to make sure that the clipper blades are never pulling out the hair, because that's where you can get like ingrown hairs and what have you. So you always want to make sure that your blades are cutting really smooth. Very important. You don't want to pull the hair out, you just want to cut the hair out. We'll do that guideline all the way around. Alright, cool. So next up, guys, we're going to be using the number 1 guard. We're going to have that clipper lever all the way open. Then I'll go up about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. So there's a closed lever, open lever. So we'll start with the lever open in that position. And we'll go up about 1/4 of an inch. Nice and smooth. Just pulling out at the top of the cut. It's kind of like a C stroke. Top end of my stroke, I'll pull out. You should see there. Alright, so that guideline's finally coming in. So that's basically what the number 1 open lever looks like. Eventually, we'll close that lever, we'll find that hard line at the bottom, and we'll go straight for that hard line. But right now, we're just going to continue around with the guideline. Get a little hair out of there. Alright, so we have the number 2 guard. I'm going to start using that lever all the way open. And then we'll continue all the way around the haircut as well. So we'll go straight up, slightly pulling out at the top of the guideline. Alright, there it is there. Little fast forwarded frames, save some time there for you. Okay, so I have the half guard now, which is also known as the 0 guard. We're just going to start using that lever all the way open. And then the hard line that you see there, we're just going to go basically straight for that line. Not going to go too far over it, but just right at that line. See if we can kind of blend things out a little bit. As you see me go a little bit in on my lever. Notice there wasn't any hair cutting, so I kind of wanted to blend up just a little bit there. So as you can see, that line's kind of disappearing. Alright. Alright, just get a little bit of hair off of them there. Okay, so finally the number 3 guard is up, so we'll use that to just fade a little bit higher, transitioning into going into the top of his hair. So we'll just go a little bit higher than we did with that number 2 guard. Still not attempting to go too far in. I'm looking for a straight up look, so that's basically what I want to go for. I still see a little weight around the area where that number 2 guard is. I still thought that number 2 guard might take a little bit more hair off than I wanted, so that's why I transitioned to the number 3 guard. And then I'm just going to go straight up from there. Now back to this number 2 guard, see if I can get a little bit of that hard line out that you see there. You see me cutting from different directions. that ensures that you cut the hair coming from every direction. So everything basically is even. Now you see me using a combination of opening and closing my clipper. The closer that I am to the bottom of the guideline, I'll close that lever. The closer that I am to the height of that guideline, I'll just open that lever up and continue to go straight up. Now if I was looking to do a haircut where it kind of insinuated like a faux hawk, where that top goes in, then I would do that. But this haircut is just straight up, so that's why I'm using that technique. So here, just using that 1.5 guard. So we've used all the other guards pretty much so far. We've used the number 1, the 0, the number 2, the 3. So basically this 1.5 was really the only thing that was missing. So back to that number 1 guard. Now cutting hair is about just smoothing out areas that you previously used guards. So wherever I use that 1 guard, I just kind of want to go back over that area, not looking to go too high, not looking to go too low. Wherever I use the 2 guard, I would do the same thing there, the 3, and so on and so forth. Alright, so here I just like to always polish off my haircuts using the Andis Masters clipper. So that's what you see me doing here. Now an open Masters clipper is basically equivalent to using a number 1. So that's basically like having that number 1 guard on right now. And it goes all the way down to a 000, which is that stubbly look that you saw when I initially balded his hair out. So that's what you see me doing here, just attempting to clean that fade up a little bit more, transitioning from the 0 to the 1. Almost done, little man. It's like, come on, man. Alright. So things are definitely looking a lot smoother than they started. So definitely love the Andis Masters clipper. Really adds a good transition to your fades. Alright, cool. So everything's looking pretty good here. Now it's time to start working on the top. So I have the number 16 guard, which is basically the equivalent to 2 inches in length. We'll see if that cuts anything. So I like to pull the hair up with the comb and then cut across. Doesn't look like it really was cutting anything. So here I like to pull the comb up, see if the next guard will basically cut through there. So Dad just wants to see how much hair is coming off. We thought the other guard was going to do it, but it didn't cut out anything. So it looks like this one is the one that we're going to go with, the number 12 guard, which is the equivalent to 1.5 inches in length. So if you're not one of those guys who likes to use shears, but you have a client who likes long hair on the top or longer hair, this would basically be your fix. You could basically still get a comb over or spiky hair out of using these guards, and everything will be nice and even. But you have to cut pretty much from every angle, north, south, east, and west. So that's what you see me doing here. Whatever hair is hard to cut, I pull that up with the comb and then cut right under it with the guards. So you see me demonstrate that. You always want to comb through it to see what basically has been cut, what hasn't been cut. And then here you just basically see me blending the top to the sides. So the fade on the sides is done. We've went over the top. So now it's just time to blend everything together for the midway point. So that's what I'm doing here. Going back using various guards that I think will help me blend that look in better. So I'm just using clipper over comb technique. A lot of those hairs that stick over the side, we're just getting that off now. Alright, always want to just comb and brush to see what has just been cut. And in this case, I'm clipper over combing with the number 1 guard, and that number 1 transitions right into his fade, so I could take that guard off, clean up the fade a little bit, put it back on, still do a little clipper over comb, and everything's just fine. Alright, so sprayed a little water. There's a little side view for you guys of the fade. side view there. So we'll put a little water in. Now normally this client doesn't go for a lineup or anything. We'll just clean up some of the top hairs. So I just kind of want to find out from the parents kind of if everything looks all right, if they want any of those hairs off. I kind of thought that some hairs in this front should come off a little bit. So it was fine with Dad to take a little bit off. So he's like, come on guys, it's my hair now. All right. So after we finished going over, we decided that we should take a little bit of that hair off. This is kind of how things were before when everything got started. All right, a little before action. This is after from the same angle. All right, great smile for the camera. Thank you, sir. All right, so before from a different angle. All right, there it is. All right, so you guys get a chance to see the progress where we started, where we are. Bald fade action. Let's get them cleaned up. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode. Shout out to this young man and his family. You guys know the deal. Good hair isn't by accident, it's by appointment. So go see your barber or hairstylist. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, like, share, subscribe. You know the deal.